So let's roll. So is that 4 in 6 years now? Really 5?
Yeah, yeah. 4 and 6 physical actual years. Um, five, 4 and 5 in actual played postseasons.
Okay, yeah, because what 2020 y'all? I mean, would y'all make it through 10, 15
Played
games, something like that?
14 games.
14 games, and y'all
Yeah.
started off. I'm assuming y'all started off gangbusters out of that year
Yeah,
too.
we through 14 games, we'd hit like 36 home runs. It was something silly. Like we were averaging over 2 home runs. It was I like we've had some really, really good teams, and our 2021 team was incredible, but we had some issues with being healthy and one thing or the other with a couple of them in 2020, everybody was healthy.
Yeah.
So the little small glimpse we got of it with everybody being healthy was I just stood over there and did a lot of this.
Yeah.
It
Well,
was fun to
sometimes
watch.
that's hey, when that's all you got to do, sometimes that'll
Mm-hmm.
work. That'll
Yeah.
work. Do you like? How do you feel about people throwing around the word dynasty? Not just about y'all, but just in any sport. If people are talking
Uh,
about the Patriots, if people are talking about the Bulls, if they are talking about you, how do you feel about that word?
it's a little cringy at times, I think. But not because I don't know what is the definition? What is considered what is the basis for the word dynasty? How many do you have to win for it to be considered that? Where does it have to go?
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You know,
definitely subjective, but I would think 4 out of 5 postseasons has got to
I
fit the
think
mold.
it's a significant run. I mean, if you're looking at a lot of it is like I think consecutive runs. Like if you're putting it together a lot in a short period of time, maybe. They it started, 19 and it's been kind of a whirlwind since then. But um yeah, I mean I'm not mad about it if people want to say it. Like I take it as a compliment.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like, oh, don't say that. But
How
kind of
how have how, how have you guys like I understand, having talent, having good players and that kind of thing. And I know a lot of these players have transcended, several of these years since it has
Mhm.
been in such close proximity, but not just the talent and, God-given ability, but like how have y'all managed to be that successful over the last 5, 6 years?
I mean, you can only do so much with what you got, and fortunately, we've had a lot. But their work ethic, their willingness to say, okay, like it takes what it takes, and going out and doing that, and day in and day out, I think has been big. And then, once you do it the first time, it's like we got to do it again. We got to do it
Yeah.
again. And then once you've done it the second time and the third time, then it's to the point to where like, well, we don't want to be the ones who haven't.
Yeah.
We don't want to be the ones who don't. So I think it's a matter of different things drive kids differently, and figuring out what each group needs to tick and move has probably been the most difficult part.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's definitely been fun in figuring out because every group has been insanely different. Like it's crazy how, one or two kids leave and it just changes the whole dynamic of a program.
Yeah.
And it's just been that I think that doesn't get enough credit what you have to do off the field.
Mm.
Not just the practice and the preparation when it comes to the physicality of it all, but the mental side of it and the overall just them being able to get along. The chemistry side is huge. It is huge. And I've always been a big proponent for it. Probably made a lot of people mad in my early years here by not, bringing certain kids up or one thing or the other that might have not have meshed well with what we had going on. And just a big, big chemistry person that if it's not working, then we're gonna have to figure it out. And
Yeah.
sometimes that's not always easy.
What has been some of the main differences among teams? Like you mentioned, even if 1 or 2 players, graduate and move on, like how have some of those collective personalities differed?
Oh gosh. I think, this first couple years it was just they craved the consistency, they craved the discipline of it because there had been so much turnover coming in. As far as head coaches go, they've been
Yeah,
very fortunate that Coach Jim and Coach Golich have been here through it all and were able to give them that consistency. But as far as the top leadership, when it comes to like head coaches, it changed a lot. And so those first couple of groups, they just wanted somebody who gave a crap and wanted to work
yeah,
hard.
yeah,
And they ate that up and they bought into that. And they were more about like, let's put a good product out there, let's go work hard and then see what happens. And now it's more like we want to keep we want to continue this tradition. We want to continue to because they've not known anything any different. Before it was we want somebody who gives a crap. Well, now we don't know anything any different. So
right.
it's a matter of like, let's just keep at it because we know obviously this works. And each group, each year, their personalities have changed drastically. We've had groups where our first couple of groups, I don't even think we had anybody who went to prom. They're like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do that. And
Yeah,
then, these last couple of years, it's like they love it. They eat it up. And so just adjusting to those personalities and the difference in the type of kid, just over the course of the last 6 or 7 years has changed incredibly. But thankfully, the work ethic has stayed the same. For the most part, the whole as a whole, we know that the hard work is the foundation of it, and you're gonna get in, you're gonna get out what you put in, and fortunately, they're still putting hard work in every single day.
yeah,
So been fortunate there.
yeah. What's it like for you as a head coach and your staff, like managing different personalities, especially year to year when it changes? Like, do y'all just have to go with the flow? How do you have to shake up things that you do, or what?
Yeah, especially 16, 17, 18-year-old girls.
Yeah,
I think this year was by far one of our most emotional years. It was like somebody new was crying every day. Um, and they'd grown up together. They don't mind hurting each other's feelings. But at the same time, there's always a line there that, you have to be respectful. And I think, and I've told them this, so that's no secret, but this year tested me far more than any, just getting them going in the same direction because we had a lot of really strong personalities. We had, a lot of chiefs and not enough Indians in some instances, and then, the other way around sometimes. So it was just me personally embracing the different personality of our team and the different way that they go about things and finding good balance in holding our standard and holding us accountable and them accountable while also allowing them to be them and allowing them to be themselves and not mute their personality and not, I told them this 100 times, like, I'm not trying to change who you are. I just want you to see that we can find balance. We can find balance in who we are, and we can find balance in, you know, being the loud, I'm not used to having a loud, obnoxious, in your face kind of team. And that's pretty much what they were this year. And that was hard for me to adjust to. And it was hard for all of us as coaches to adjust to because we weren't used to it. But finding balance there where we're still ourselves and still representing ourselves well. And then also, we've had some struggles with that and we've had some learning curves with that, and myself included, that we're always learning, we're always growing, and nobody's perfect. And then as long as you can learn from your mistakes and get and grow from them, then we're doing okay.
do you think those challenges, you mentioned what the word obnoxious stood out. I can't remember the others right off the top of my head, but do you think that maybe, I'm going to ask you to talk about yourself here for a second, but do you think that maybe makes this maybe quote unquote your best coaching job to date?
I don't know. That's not the first time I've been asked this, but I would probably say, as far as us putting it together, that last year might have been. Because off the field this year, definitely as a staff, we worked really hard to put ourselves, put our girls in a better position to learn and grow and understand that their chemistry mattered. Um, but as far as just overall coaching and saying, okay, well, we've lost a ton of kids. Nobody really expects us to do that this year. Let's go do it anyways. And we did. And I think, you know, it was more of them. We had a lot of changes last year on the field.
Mm,
People in different positions, different,
yeah,
doing different things. And then we only graduated 4 seniors last year to this year. So I think this year it was more like, okay, well, we didn't lose a ton. We lost some really big, great kids.
yeah.
But, I think the last 2 years it's a combination of more on-field stuff last year, probably more off-field stuff this year.
I got you. Yeah, every season has its own personality, regardless
Oh,
of what players you have.
it does. It does. And, you know, the easy part is coaching good talent and them physically being able to get it done. The hard part is convincing them over and over again that mentally that's where the most important work comes from.
Yeah. How do you? Well, I'm curious now, like the mental side of things. What what sources do you pull from to learn about mental coaching, or like what kind of things are you passing on to your teams? Like, are you listening to certain podcasts? Do you read certain books? What do you?
Anywhere and everywhere we have done, we've done book studies as a team. I love to listen. I love to watch. Believe it or not, I read and see a lot on Twitter. And it's like,
Mm,
any good thread that I come across that can lead me to a good book or lead me to, just a good snippet of something that makes
yeah,
sense. That's you can ask the girls. I send stuff in our group a lot, like, hey, like read this thread, or like, this is really pertinent information for what we're going through right now. And it never seems to fail that we always say, Big Brother, our phones are listening to us, because whatever we're talking about softball wise, somehow it always seems to find its way on my Twitter feed. So which I'm not bad about that part of it. So I think just anywhere and everywhere, like, there's no coach in the world that's worth a crap that hasn't stolen everything they have.
yes, exactly.
So the more stuff that I can steal and borrow and whatever take from, the more I'm trying to. I don't know that I've ever had an original idea.
Yeah,
It's always
yeah.
been from somebody else.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Every time we talk to Coach Yeager, the football coach over at Mountain Brook, we're there dominantly to talk about how this game went, what players you have coming back, all those typical kind of on field things. But it seems like almost every time I talk to him, he's bringing me book recommendations.
Oh yeah.
Hey, I read this recently. You need to get this one. And inevitably, like while we're talking, I'm sitting here like on my phone, like on
Like
Amazon, like
looking them up.
ordering that book. Yeah, like every
Yeah.
single time. I
I
think the
will
last
tell
one,
you.
I think the last one was The Boys in the Boat. I think that's the
Okay.
last one that I ordered.
I was about to say, I'm going to need you to email these when we get done.
Yeah,
Um,
I got they're on my bookshelf right over here.
I've listened to a whole lot. That's what I'm sitting here. Um, the most recent book that I have listened to, uh, gosh, I'll find it for you in a second. But you, anything you got that's good, I'm for it. I think the first one that we read as a team was Win in the Dark. Um,
Okay.
it was kind of cheesy, kind of corny, but it got the point across. It was actually
Yeah.
about a kid who wanted to be a professional tightrope walker.
Okay.
So it
Okay.
was interesting, but it was really good. And
Yeah. No, I get
um
I get that because like I know everybody reads John Gordon,
Yeah.
and loves his stuff, and I do too. And that's kind of how I felt about the energy bus, where
Uh-huh.
like the story was kind of like, okay, this is like a little cheesy, like these
Yeah.
people
It's a
getting on
little
a
over the
bus to
top.
work, and yeah, and it's like
Right.
this person's sad and mad. But then by the end of it, like somehow, some way, it's not groundbreaking writing in terms of
Uh-huh.
writing nonfiction or something, but the point of it really sticks with you,
Yeah. It just
like
hangs
how
on.
you want to wake up every day and attack that day.
That's right. That's right. And
Man,
like, I carry a lot of that into our like what we try to do as a coaching staff, but probably need to be listening to it just as much in my own life as well.
yeah, I understand. I
So,
understand. I
you
understand.
know,
I mean, I've got a stack of them over here off camera, but just my bookshelf is absolutely overflowing with all of these books that I've gotten probably in the last year that I
I
just
will
have
gladly
not.
take any recommendations that you
Oh
have.
my gosh, they're everywhere. So is it the cliche question?
Okay.
I'm gonna have cliche ones, but is
Okay.
is it harder to get to the top or to stay on the top?
Oh, easy. That's easy. Stay. Much harder to
Okay.
stay. Because nobody realizes what you're doing to get there. You're not being watched a lot when you're
Yeah.
trying to get there.
Yeah.
Um, you can kind of fly under the radar. You can be the underdog. You can, wear the chip on your shoulder, one thing or the other. But when you get there and you do it one time, two times, whatever. And I had a coach yesterday tell me, he's like, "Hey, at this point, we just expect it." He's like, "I don't want to downplay it, but at this point, we just expect it." And, I think that's tough. That's
Yeah.
tough because, we've got kids on this team that have never won a single one. This was their first one, and we've got kids on this team that this is their third one.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of different personalities and aspects that have to mesh and mesh well. And, when you got a big fat target on your back, that makes things a lot harder. And we
Yeah.
talked a lot this year about how every single game we were going to get everybody's best game.
Sure. Yeah.
When somebody beats you and they are excited to do that and they celebrate that, that's a compliment, but don't let
Yeah.
it happen again.
That's
But,
right.
but that's kind of where it's at, is that you've got to be prepared to take everybody's best and to show up every day too, which is tough. It's tough to do, but definitely staying there has been a lot harder than what probably most would understand.
I bet. So can you will you be able to do all four on one hand, or are you going two and two?
No, so I haven't done my ring size for this one yet, but so far I have one that can fit ring finger, middle finger, and pointer finger. So the only thing I have left is a
Oh,
pinky. So I don't think I'm going for that one, but we got our flag football one that can go on
oh
one too.
yeah.
So yeah, I told him, I was like, that's enough.
Man.
Let's just fill our whole hand up with softball rings. So,
Man,
but
that's
yeah,
cool.
it is cool. It's a lot of fun to design and pick out, and one thing or the other. Try to make each one unique.
Yeah.
They have gotten significantly bigger as the years have gone. So I
Yeah.
think last year's weighed the same as or twice as much as the other two put together. So it was, yeah,
Jeez.
it's
Like
been.
I get it. Like you want it to stand out. You want it to fit everything you want to fit on it, whether it's a team slogan, last names, obviously the school name, the year, the number of diamonds, all that stuff. But
That's
like I
right.
see some of these and I'm like, I know it's a ultimately for the rest of your life, it's essentially more of a keepsake than
Yes, it's
like,
more of a
oh,
commemorative thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But like it just happens to be today that Clay Chalkville, down the
I
road from
saw
y'all,
those.
did you like those
I
things? It
saw
looks like
those.
a brick. Like
It's
they're
huge.
so big. And I'm like, I see some of the coaches that I'm friends with, I saw them, putting them on, and I'm just like, is that on two fingers? Like, did you
I
fit two
know,
in there? Because they're that big.
right? And what I've learned is the first year doing this, that's the first one I'd ever won. I never won, got beat in a championship game as a high school player, got beat when I was in college, like never won one as a player.
Yeah.
So it was my first one too, and we were like, oh, we want to be able to wear them and wear them comfortably, and like I don't know why, because we don't. It's not like I'm walking around on a Tuesday wearing my, state championship ring to school that day, which that one's small enough. I probably could, but we were like, oh, we want to be able to wear it. And then after that, I realized how little you do wear it. But when you wear it, you want people to see it.
Yeah.
So it was like kind of flipped our thought process and said, okay, well, yeah, we're not going to wear these as much as what we thought. So let's make sure when we do, people can see them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Let's transition a little bit because it wasn't too long after winning this latest state championship that y'all start turning some dirt for a new softball
Yeah.
complex. Tell me about what's it going to be like and where it's going to be and all of that.
So we are building a new covered seating complex slash for right now it will just be the stadium part. The complex part will come later. Um it is right on the corner of Husky Parkway and Trussville Clay.
Trustful Clay Road. Yeah.
So it's like literally right there. So you come to that red light coming from the middle school and you will see the backside of the field. Um,
Okay.
so which I have some pictures and stuff I can send you if you want. But
Sure.
yeah, it's gonna be super nice and it's something that we dreamed of but wasn't sure that it would ever be a possibility. So we'll have, that field, it'll have 620 some odd back seats and, shaded, covered, more stadium type feel. And then we also are doing a hitting house slash locker room slash coach's office right behind it in right field, right up next to our football field house and the new
Okay.
covered football field area right there,
Yeah.
corner where the practice football field sits. So
So so that like practice field that's not really used right now, like right along Trustful Clay Road, so like you said, if you're pulling up coming from the middle school, you're gonna hit outfield first.
no, it'll be infield first. So like
Okay.
it'll be literally like the back of the field. It'll be like it'll say like Hewitt-Trussville, like Bill Roberts Stadium, whatever on the backside, and you'll be able to see that. And then when you pull into park on the
Yeah.
backside over there, you'll have options to park behind home plate, and then you'll have options to park along the left field line, and then also in right field behind our hitting house as well.
Wow.
So could kind of park from potentially any direction. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, it's I would say we would be pretty darn close to having the nicest facility in the state of Alabama, uh,
Yeah.
which is incredible because currently we are 7 through 12 on one field.
Yeah.
So it's been difficult to navigate that side of it, but the our patience has paid off greatly.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
excited and thankful to all of our admin and everybody who made that possible.
Do y'all expect to play there next year?
And I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unless, we have an incredible drought.
The drought. Yeah.
No rain every day for the rest of I don't know how long. I don't foresee us being able to play. I would love for it to be done enough for us to be able to practice on next year. I don't know, I'm no
Sure.
construction
Yeah.
person. I
Well,
don't
that
know all
well
that
even
goes.
well, it's like even construction people would answer that same question by saying, "I'm not a weatherman,"
That's
so
right. That's right. So
nobody can predict it.
I think it's around a 16-month project.
Okay.
So I think, hopefully I would love to be able to play a game on that thing next year. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
But it's not
So,
not
so
likely.
so when it is fully functional, like the middle school then will exclusively play at Goldie Payne.
So we haven't talked about all the logistics on that
Okay.
yet. I think there's some other things that may be, in the works, and especially when the other fields of the rest of the complex are built. I think eventually we will all be over there. So haven't hadn't gotten in too far deep into
Not that
that
far.
just yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Well, let's talk about what more recently happened then. And you mentioned his name already. Ooh, we got a
There he
surprise
is.
guest. Let's go. I'll wait. There he is.
What's up,
What's
guys?
up?
Hey, Kyle,
Hey, friend. What you
how are
doing?
you?
Rolling right along. We're just back in the office. It feels weird, but yeah, I've been out of the
You,
office for like 3 weeks, I think.
let's
Yeah,
say you
so
finally
they
made it
probably,
back from Oxford.
yeah, I was about to say they probably thought you quit.
Yeah, yeah, it was weird walking back in today. I was like, oh, I hadn't been here in a while.
Man, I like your background. I mean, I
I
know it's
was
like
literally
plain,
about to say that. I was literally about
like,
to say, I was like, wow, what a background. But then I'm sitting here next to a roll door. I'm in
This
the
is like one of
office
the walls of
behind
my old
you.
office that I haven't used in several years.
yeah. I mean, it's
Very
almost like, I
decent
mean, it's not a
background.
green screen, but it looks almost like you could just
Yeah,
blank canvas do
It's
whatever
like
you
you could
wanted
just
to it.
trace your
you stick
head
a logo right there.
right over the top of the wall
Yeah.
Absolutely.
there.
Look, I was just about to ask Taylor about we talked a little bit about the season and we were talking about the new facility that's about to get underway. But they named it for Bill Roberts. I knew Bill well when I was doing this stuff full time, and he led the Trussville Board of Education for like a decade. He was probably still the president of it. I think Taylor, when you were hired,
Yes, sir.
what were your experiences like with him during that process? Like, because I know he loves athletics.
I think one of the first times that I met Mr. Billy was like, hey, we like to win here. So that's what we're gonna be doing. And I was like, yes, sir, that's what we're gonna be doing. He said, that's what I like to hear. So, he loves to win and he loves to compete, but what a lot of people don't know about him is he is the softest hearted, just genuine, kind man that I've ever met in my entire life. That he loves our girls and cares for them, and as much as he wants to win and compete at a high level, and he knows, he probably would coach the team better than what I would most of the time, but he's a good man, and I'm proud for our stadium and stuff to be named after him because he genuinely cares, and that's hard to find these days. I hate to say
Yeah,
that, but
yeah,
he's not looking for anything in return except for you to go compete. That's
yeah,
it. He just wants good softball to watch, and so
yeah.
he's not looking for anything. I don't think that was something he expected to happen. So
That's
I'm
what I was gonna ask. Like, did he know, or was that a surprise to him?
Well, so they had a breakfast with him that morning, with some of the other donors and people who were involved in the process, and told him that morning. And I think he kind of thought something was fishy because everybody was getting together for breakfast, even though we were all about to eat lunch together. And so I asked him, I was like, "Did you know?" And he was like, "Well," he said, "I just kind of thought it was a little odd that we were all going to breakfast." He said, "But I didn't know exactly what it was for." And so, you know. I think he was surprised, but also very I think touched by it, and just it meant a lot to him. I imagine he's an emotional man, which that makes me love him even more. But I wish I could have seen the look on his face, because I imagine it was very much very thankful.
Yeah, Kyle, what you got? I want to hear the commissioner talk now.
The softball
Well,
commissioner, the HSA softball commissioner.
That's
yeah, I
him.
promise you, far from that. Let me give you a just kind of to continue talking about Mr. Bill. I've never, I don't think I've ever met somebody with the kind of the the presence that he has. That also is just like anytime I see him, like he's one of these people that he makes sure that I can't get away from him
Oh
in
yeah.
if you're just walking by him and he sees you, he's like, hey, no, 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 Kyle, come here, come here, come here. And he wants to talk. He wants to catch up on what's going on, and he wants to say like, "Man, what do you think about the softball at XYZ?" And I like, you just love talking to the guy because he's just so, like Taylor said, he's so genuine, and it's so cool to see a man that is like he's accomplished so much and does so many really cool things, and but he legitimately cares about the softball program at Hewitt-Trussville, and like as somebody who loves softball like that, like I love that so much because it's not just somebody that blows in every now and then and looks out there and goes, "Oh, okay, well, who cares?" Like he
No,
is
he's at our
invested.
practices.
He's invested.
Yeah, he roll up to practice and
Yeah,
like, he's like just coming to watch, like coming to hang out, or he'll come up before the ball game and be like, "Hey, you pitching so and so?"
yeah.
We're like, "Yeah, how'd you know?" So I just had a feeling.
That's
He knows
awesome.
what's going on. So yeah, that's what I got on him, and yeah, this is one of those. This is gonna be a really cool thing. I can't wait to see this process kind of come to fruition. And yeah, it's a really big deal for the city of Trussville and shoot for just softball in general in the state. Like I think it's just another huge step. It's a commitment to the sport. It's an investment into just the continued progress of it, and I'm super excited about it.
Absolutely.
Female
Taylor,
athletics.
go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's female athletics as a whole is on the rise. You've seen that in collegiate basketball. You've seen that, college softball has been growing exponentially just over the course of the last several years and in viewership and everything else. So I think it's just finally getting to the point to where like these girls who bust their butt are finally getting a little bit of recognition. And I'm like Kyle, like I'm pumped about that we kind of get to be an example for hopefully others to follow. I know everybody else is not in a financial situation like we are. And I'm very thankful for that. But to say, hey, like if you are, then your females deserve it just as much. Like, it's not all, I guess, I don't know how to put it without being sounding really, really mean about it. But you know what I'm saying? Like it's just not all centered about one thing that they go out and earn it too. So I'm excited
Yeah.
for
Yeah. Taylor, Kyle knows that I'll do these unfortunate transitions where y'all just
that.
like y'all like so eloquently and beautifully talked about something, and here I am coming at you with some obscure number. Kyle knows all about this, but you mentioned the new facility will be 600 plus seats.
Something like that. So it's right around 600 some odd backed seating, and then there will be
Max.
other seating on the outside of it as well.
What was the last population of Sandrock, Alabama?
What was the last known population?
Yeah,
Oh gosh, I don't
less
know.
than that, isn't it?
Uh, I honestly I don't know. Maybe like well there I can tell you there's about 850 kids K through 12 that go to school there.
Okay.
So somewhere give or take. I graduated with 50 people. They've grown
Okay.
a little bit since then. So I don't know, maybe
Wow.
2,000, maybe.
Man. Well, Wikipedia needs some updating then.
What
But
what did it say?
it incorporated in 1988. At the 2020 census, the population was 591.
Oh, that might be in Sandrock city limits.
Yeah,
Quite
Yes.
possibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite
So,
possible. 'Cause I lived in Leesburg, so
see, there you go. So,
yeah,
like, could you have ever playing at Sandrock? Could you have ever imagined where you're at now?
no way. No, and not like I think just where we are female athletic wise, I don't think I ever would have been like,
Yeah.
hey, like that's a possibility. That's gonna happen. I've always been that person. I mean, I played four sports growing up. Like you know, always loved to play ball, always a big proponent of, female athletics. But like as far as like where I am personally and where we are as a whole, like I don't know that I don't know. I would like to think that I thought it was possible, but
Sure.
17-year-old me probably would have been like, no, I can't even watch softball on TV. I can remember like, getting to watch Alabama play softball in a regional and thinking, heck yeah, I'm glad I finally get to watch something on TV.
Right. Right. What else you got, Kyle?
I think it's pretty cool. It's also pretty interesting. So Taylor's at Hewitt-Trussville, and Spain Park just hired another guy from Leesburg,
Yeah,
Justin
good.
Kaiser, to coach the volleyball team. So Leesburg is on the come up when it comes to 7A sports around here.
That's right. It's a
Man.
hidden gem. You don't know anything about that. It's a hidden gem over in Wise Lake. We've actually had some really incredible people come out of Sandrock, and although Judd went to a couple different schools. I don't know if you call him Justin. I've always called him Judd growing up. That's his nickname. But like, he, that between the two of us, I think we probably played a lot of pickup basketball together too. So it's a lot of competition goes on up there, and there are some incredible people that have come from there. I mean, I can shout out my mom, who's been in education for 30 plus years, that coach cheerleading in one thing or the other. And there's a lot of really good people up there that that's the reason why we are the way we are. And that's the reason why, we're as fiery and as competitive and, like to get after it. So, coming from Sandrock to here, there's a lot of bumps in the road along the way. I had to learn a lot of lessons the hard way. I'm thankful for that, but always thankful from where I came from. There's got a lot of celebrities coming out of there, and I'm not talking about myself. There's a lot of good ball players that have been there the last couple years too. So
You know what I can tell you is not up there in that area in a
what's
place
that?
that you mentioned? You mentioned Weiss Lake.
Uh-huh.
There are no fish in Weiss Lake. I
What?
swear.
You're
We
a
were
terrible fisherman. It is
apparent. I mean,
literally
apparently, right? Like,
it's
hey,
literally
hey,
the crappie capital of the world.
we went we went several years ago, and it was just me, my wife. We took the dog, and I spent like literally all day on this pier at the back of
Where were
this
you fishing at?
verbo. Huh?
Where were you fishing at? Where did you stay?
I don't remember. It's been like 6 years. It was at some verbo
Oh yeah.
house or whatever, but it was right there on the lake, and I couldn't catch a thing. Like,
Next time you come up, you just give me a call. We'll put
see,
you in the
there we
front
go.
row.
There we go. I need to be retaught
Hey,
how to fish.
we actually have, what you need to look up. So we actually have a guy that I've known for a long time they do the noodling, the catfish, Bama
Hmm.
noodling. Yeah, if you're nuts, if you're crazy enough to do that, you should go do that. No way in heck I'm sticking my hand in
I've got a
underneath
cousin.
the, ain't no way.
I've got a cousin that lives in Childersburg, and her husband, he does it like religiously
It's
and is really,
wild.
really good at it.
It's
And
wild.
I'll watch his videos. I'll even go watch him in person, but I
Yeah.
don't think I'm going to get in the water with him.
Yeah. So big thing. I have my cousin Briley played softball at Mississippi State. She just finished up her career there, and that's like she's kind of got popularity on the internet because she went noodling with Blake and literally drug this massive catfish out of the water. And I'm like, hey, that's where my Sandrock ends. I don't go that far into it.
That's funny. Kyle, you got anything else?
I do not have any fishing or noodling stories. I pretty much ball 365 days a year. So,
Well, you got any ball? You got any fun four corners updates or anything?
well, we had some fun this year. Taylor had an interesting group that whenever I would stick a camera in front of their faces, that required a lot of editing
Yeah.
um, post
I
because
told I told Gary about that a little bit. I was like, hey, we had to figure out a way to embrace their personalities and
yeah, seriously.
so find a good balance there.
Yeah, this no, it's a really a group that had a big personality for sure. It was a lot of fun to watch them and to see them go from because I mean like Taylor's had a few of those teams a few years ago that coming into the year, but they were the talk of the state. Like, hey, this team's gonna be really good as long as they don't screw it up. But this team wasn't that. There were a lot of questions coming into the year, like, hey, how do you replace the Hannah Dorsett factor? I mean, like Hannah's one player, but does about as much for a team as one player could possibly do. And so how do you put all those pieces together, and everybody else kind of pick up that slack? And they kind of were figuring it out along the way. And then I think spring break tournament finally started to hit the stride a little bit.
Always seems to be our turning point when we kind of
Yeah.
figure it out that week, or not always completely, but headed in the right direction at least.
Yep. You start kind of figuring out what you're made of, and that's one of the really cool things is you see a team like that really, um, they go through a lot and then they figure it out and they hit their stride toward the end. And yeah, I mean, one of my, we're just fresh off the state tournament, and I have this moment every year where I sit back and this is the fourth year that we've done it at Chocolaca Park in Oxford now, and a facility like that that's just built for a tournament like our state tournament. And I always sit there and think, like, how cool is this? Um, like the 7A game, for instance, you've got two of the best pitchers in the state going at it for 9 innings. I mean, neither one of them's given an inch. I
Two
mean,
SEC pitchers.
yes.
Yeah,
I mean, and
yeah.
Sarah Phillips and Victoria Moten are two just elite competitors that were laying it all on the line. And that was really awesome. And then even like you look at the 6A game that was just an epic series between Athens and Hartselle. They're rivals that are playing in the state championship game. And one of the players after that game told me this, like, she's like, this is the first time I've ever pitched in something like this, and it was loud, and like it actually like got to me a little bit because it was, you're just not used to that, and like that's the environment that you want to play that kind of game in, and on and on. And all that to say, like, I always sit there and I remember, I think it was 2017. There's this moment that I always come back to where I'm sitting at Lagoon Park in Montgomery, and the 1A state championship, maybe 1 or 2A, whatever Summerton Christian was that year. And I'm watching Summerton play the state championship game on a normal pod with other games going on around. If you just walk into the ballpark, you'd have no idea that this one right here is the state championship game. And not only was that, it was literally the fifth game Summerton Christian had played that day. And yeah, it was great. They won. Like, I remember just the post game with like Kendall Best sides and like how much, like, it was an amazing accomplishment they'd won that day. And I remember that moment as like, what the heck is this? This is so stupid. And to go from that point, just what, 7 years ago, to the treatment the state championship is now, and like it's an incredible length of progress. And Taylor and I and a bunch of other coaches, we continue to talk like there are still steps that need to be made for the continued progress of the sport. And I hope that over these next few days, there's some meetings going on that could go a long way in that. And I hope that those will be taken seriously. But the sport's come a long way just in the short amount of time that I've been around and been able to be exposed to it. And there's still so many more things that can make it even greater. And it's a lot of fun to be a part of, a lot of great people. And it's one of those things where like I drive out of the park on Friday and it's like, crap, it's over, And so now we get this swoon for a couple of weeks
like
where
a hangover. It's like a softball hangover.
Yeah, literally.
That's the way I can explain it. Like you like riding this, and it's never fails. Every year after the season's over, I end up sick. Like I've had the crud for the last couple of days. It's like my body says, okay, well, all right, you're finally get a little rest. Here's this.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just run so
hard.
hard.
You're talking about that, and I'm gonna throw this small little tidbit in here. We the championship 2019, the camera quality and the video quality of that game in comparison to what we've had the last couple years, and like it's insane. It is insane, the difference in just a 6-year time span that I like. Not to call out whoever the guy was that was calling our game, but he was literally calling it baseball half the time in the 2019 championship. And then like the video quality, Abby makes this insane catch in center field, and you can't see it. You can't see it because you can't see her. Like it's like just basically like a GoPro hung on the back fence of the net, and we went from that to like this year, they literally showed replays on the video board in the stadium.
Yeah.
Like, what? That's freaking awesome. And like the fact that we've grown that much, I know I'm first one to harp about change and doing things better, but just like you said, like to see where we were even a short amount of time ago to be where we are now, it's awesome. It's incredible that we've been able to, to advance it this much. And like you said, there's I think it's limitless as far as if we continue to put the kids first and they are our priority and what they deserve, then I think we can kind of really get after it and put some pride aside and say, hey, like, this is the best place. This is the best way. I think that it can only go even further than what it has. And maybe we can be an example of how it should be done for the rest of the nation. High school
Absolutely.
softball should look like this.
Absolutely. Kyle, you really did sound very commissioner-like a minute ago when you were talking about it. I know we joke about it, but like you speak about it, I'm going to use the word eloquently again, intelligently, but also, what else do I want to say to toot your horn here? I don't know. It's obvious that you care. Like you're not a coach, you're not an athletics director, you're a media guy, but I think a lot of what you've said, a lot of what you've written, a lot of those things over the years have actually played quite a role. So when I may joke and call you softball commissioner, but the longer we go, the less of a joke it sounds like.
No, it's awesome. It gives a crap. I love people who give a crap.
That's
Yeah.
right.
know?
That's right.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that because that's literally what it is. Like Taylor saw an email that I sent to some people the other day. It just like the one thing that has bothered me the most over the last few years is any time that, well, number one, I don't think that you don't have to have a solution in hand to present an issue as an actual issue. When like this story, this conversation could go on forever and ever, but you talk about like Lagoon Park, just for what it was at the start was great. And then the game of softball had just progressed to the point to where like the Alabama high school state championships, like that place just isn't good enough for that. And there was not a willingness by the city of Montgomery to adequately improve that place to that point. And so it was time to go. And the frustration that I had for the first several years that I was around that is that anytime I would bring this issue up of like, this place is not good enough. And it's not an indictment on the people that run the park. They actually do a really good job of running that park. Like the people that run Lagoon Park do a good job. They just, the facility itself is just not adequate. And but anytime I would bring it up, the response from some people would always be like, okay, so what's the solution? And it just like the conversation ends there. And then I'm like, I'm not here presenting, I'm just telling you that this is not good enough. And so finally, through the hard work of a lot of people, Oxford's facility was presented as an adequate solution, and it's been amazing. But that lends itself to like right now, there's a lot of like the biggest thing that I have noticed over the last couple of years is with the high school state tournament in its current format, which is an 8-team double elimination tournament, each classification is asked to do that tournament in 2 days, which means that you could play a maximum of 7 games over 2 days, which is brutal to play 7 full-length games over 2 days. And there are some incredible success stories. Like even this year, like Daphne's pitcher, Vic Moten, Jasper's pitcher, Missy Odom, and last year, like Brutex, Tanaya Brown. All 3 of them are just the rarest of rare breeds that could actually put their teams on their backs and get them not on like to that state championship game or winning it. But it's almost
They all three lost game one, right?
yes, as far as
They,
I know. Yeah, I think so.
yeah.
And it's amazing that they could get their teams back to that. But I'm almost like it is an amazing accomplishment, but I don't feel like it's something that we should be proud of that we are subjecting people to have to do stuff like that.
656 pitches worth.
Correct.
Wow.
That's
And
what
even
Vic
like
threw. That's what Vic Moten threw this year at
yeah,
the state. It was like 656 pitches. And what brought it to my attention was a few years back in 21. I coached at North Jackson before I came here, and a kid there, Hadley Burnett, she threw pretty much the whole tournament, almost every single pitch, to the point to where I don't think she even hit the last couple of games because they were like, hey, like, you got to conserve some energy somehow, and pitch them
Yeah.
back through to win a state championship that year. So that's the first time I had ever really noticed like one kid having to, because before we moved to Oxford, it was only 2 games in the first day. And so then now it's 3 games day one, no matter what.
Mhm.
And so it's a lot different. And like Kyle said, like it's awesome to celebrate somebody who's that hard nosed and that tough to do that. But it's also shouldn't be celebrated either, because Lord knows we're going to throw their arms off their body and they're not going to have a collegiate career.
Yep. And one of the things that and like I've brought so inside baseball here, like there's a there's a coaches committee that is responsible for bringing certain proposals to the table in terms of this. And the process of selecting that committee is that's a conversation for another day. But the current committee, as it stands, is responsible for bringing those kind of things to the table. But so my point being, like, anytime I've brought up this idea the last couple of years of like, guys, this 2-day format is just too much. It just gets instantly shot down. It's just like, nah, we're never going to go to 3 days. It's just never going to happen. And but there's never like a good reason. It's just nah, not doing it. And anybody it's just I hate the idea that like anytime an idea to improve is brought to the table, it's a lot of times met with defensiveness. Is like you're attacking my ideas and the things that we put in place as not good enough, and you are
Right.
insulting us. It's like it's not that at all. Like these things may have been that may have worked a few years ago or been the best thing a few years ago, maybe they're just not anymore, and it's time to try to take the next step. And that's the most frustrating thing for me right now. It's just to see that attitude of just immediately shooting things down and not even trying to think about them in a way that could positively benefit everybody. Like last example I give you, I was at the Alabama Junior College state tournament a couple weeks ago, and it blew my mind because when they had rain, they did this thing where they actually like they put the athletes at the forefront and said, you know what, we're not going to make them play 3 games in a day. We're going to make things a little more difficult for the tournament on the back end and make it work out to where the athletes themselves are still in a good spot. And it's just like, wow, that's quite an idea.
It's amazing how that works.
Amazing how it works
And I
for
know
real.
they're tied in some spots, and like I'm not. I love, I know nobody's out here like saying, "Oh, we're gonna blah blah blah." Like a lot of it's pride, some of it's logistics, but if there's a good solution that's put out there, and I know a lot of it, they say this works for 7A, this doesn't work for 1A, blah 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 blah. Well, a 3-day format is the very least that we can do on that end, and I know that it's tough to. And I look, they say speak to your representative. Kevin and I have had plenty of conversations, so it's hopefully we'll head in the right direction there too, because like you said, like the health of the athlete should be a number one. And we've been successful in it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're winning in this format. Why would I want to change it? Because it's the right thing to
Right.
do.
That's right.
That's
That's
it.
right. That's it.
Overall, it's the right thing to do. And it's going to hurt us in the long run. Like, I'm sure it will one day. But, like, at the end of the day, like, The right thing's the right thing. It is what it
That's
is.
it. That's it.
No matter how hard it is to get there.
Yeah. Y'all got anything else, or you want to wrap on that?
Gary, you got anything else?
No. I wanted to get Kyle. Hey, I asked you all my fun questions. I got Kyle on here to really get in the weeds for me.
Now I'm impressed that you pulled up the Sandrock bit. Not many people ask me about Sandrock. So
I like to go through bios and find little things.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I was recording one of these earlier. Like I told you, I was recording with Thompson's football coach Mark Freeman, and the first like 15 minutes is just us talking about music. Like there are going to be people that tune into that to be like, "Ooh, I want to hear what he says about state championships and Region 3 and this all-world quarterback they've got down there." Instead,
Oh.
we're talking about Leonard Skinner. So. I mean, we go off the wall
We can have a different
sometimes.
side. That's all right.
We go off the wall.
That is
I
all right.
appreciate I appreciate you both doing this.
No, thank you for inviting me. I feel honored to have been asked to be
No,
on here.
I wanted to talk to you, and then I certainly wanted to get Kyle on too, just to, he is Mr. Softball, and I enjoy watching his Four Corners podcast stuff. It's a lot. It truly is a lot of fun to watch and see what kind of stuff he gets. And really, I really want to see an episode or something where he shows how many miles are on his car. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
You
Probably
need to get
fun.
we're coming up on 2 years that I've had the car I have now, and I've already almost put 50 on it. So
That's
you
it?
need you
yeah,
need to
Wow.
seriously get like you need to really get like a Vulcan Tire and Auto or someone like that to
Sponsorship.
sponsor the podcast. Yeah.
well, Taylor,
Ah,
Gary can tell you, like, I've been bugging him for over a year to come out to a softball game. I think he's afraid that the same thing's going to happen to him that happened to me. That, like, once you get exposed to it, you're done. Like, that's it.
you're sucked
Okay.
in. Like
Okay,
it's
here's the
addictive.
thing. I'm not going to say where on this because I can't, but my day job is not covering sports anymore. It used to be. It used to be covering anything and everything. Kyle, once upon a time, you were just, an intern actually when I was doing this stuff full time, which was great because I didn't have to do anything because Kyle knew what he was going to do right off the bat, and he was a natural. So
Yeah.
I didn't
Hey
require
Gary,
much from me,
we
but
don't play during the day.
man,
All
man,
these parents that have normal jobs too, they make it to all those games.
got a
We will
4-year-old at
we will
home.
have a special seat saved for you next year. You
Ooh, I
better
like it.
show up to a game.
Hey, I will do it.
Okay, I'll
It's
hold you
now
to
out
it.
here. It's been put out here. It's not just Kyle texting me, from Oxford, like, hey, where are you? When I'm at home working or something. So
Yeah. About like
now
y'all calling me out for the jerseys. We're gonna, use all our money to buy some yellow and black jerseys.
did
Although
you
they
okay, so you saw that with
oh
Dr.
yeah,
Martin?
I did. I did.
He
I told
now
look,
he brought it up. He
oh,
brought
I
it up.
know. I know. I know. And he gave me a hard time about it when I said something before. I was like, hey, you're calling me out about these jerseys. Like we might could work something out. Like what was the pendant from that you posted? It was like 1950
So
something.
yeah,
Something like
they changed the colors in for 1954 and 1955 school year. So before that, Hewitt High School was black and gold.
that. Okay.
So we've got the at the Trussville Historical Museum, we've got that flag, that pennant, and then I can't remember if we have a Letterman's jacket or if it's just. I think we maybe just have some pictures of it that are obviously black and white, but you can kind of tell placement and design and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah,
pretty cool. It is pretty
I've,
cool.
I've been on Josh Floyd about it for a couple of years. I'm like, man, throwback night would be cool. And then Dr. Martin said that stuff about Nike Elite, and I was like,
Yeah, I wish
not a,
if we can work something out, we might try, but we'll see. I get to design a couple new ones coming up. but I don't know if black and yellow will be it just yet. It may be
Black and gold.
black
Gold
and
now.
gold. My bad. Black and
Gold.
gold. My bad. I do love black and gold.
There you go. There you go. No,
I'm thankful for the red and black because it makes matching things a lot easier.
yeah, yeah. I believe that. I believe that. Well, we'll wrap this up. I appreciate you, Coach Burt. Kyle, appreciate you hopping on as well. And everybody go listen to Kyle's Four Corners podcast. Subscribe to that thing. Watch that. It's a lot of fun. I try to watch it every time you have it up just because I like following your content ideas and stuff and seeing what you're cooking up on the softball fields.
He's getting pretty good at it. Even the weather reports are pretty funny.
Yep.
Those are good.
The random weather report, like the best ideas always just come organically. You can't force them.
Yeah.
It just stems from you have an idea. One day you go up and say something to somebody, and then that turns into a bit that lasts the whole year, and all these just phenomenal opportunities present themselves. So, yeah, it's good. State championship edition will probably be out later this week. So excited about that.
Awesome. Appreciate you guys.
Hey, thank you, Gary. Thank you for asking me. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah,
Thanks,
no
Gary.
problem at all. See y'all
See
later.
y'all.